online in accordance with the procedures laid out by the Committee on the Rules of Procedure. On today's agenda, as part of the fact-finding investigation into Italy's commitment to promoting and protecting human rights and countering discrimination worldwide, we'll be hearing from a delegation from the Palestine Olympic Committee, accompanied by the Ambassador of Palestine to Italy. On behalf of the committee members, I would like to welcome our dear guests and thank them for joining us. They are General Jibril Rajoub, President of the Palestine Olympic Committee, Dr. Valerie Terzi, swimmer and member of the Palestinian National Olympic Team, Dr. Dima Saeed, spokesperson for the Palestinian Football Association and former captain of the national team, Dr. Ihab Abu Jazar, coach of the men's national football team. As I said, the delegation is accompanied by the Ambassador of Palestine to Italy, Mona Abu Ammara. I would like to remind our attendees that Dr. Rajoub is also President of the Council for Youth and Sport, as well as the Palestinian Football Association. A multi-ethnic Palestinian National Olympic Committee comprising Arab, Jewish and Christian athletes was founded under the British Mandate of Palestine in 1933. It was recognized by the International Olympic Committee in May 1934, but was unable to participate in the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games due to the Nazis' persecution of Jews. A new Palestine Olympic Committee was later established in 1969, but it was not recognized by the International Olympic Committee until 1993, following the Oslo Accords. Supported by the Palestinian Authority, the Olympic Committee was allowed to compete in the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta with its own national flag, and then in the 2012 Olympic Games in London. We heard what happened to the flag bearer and athlete that was taking part in the Atlanta Games, and he was eventually killed in the Nuseirat refugee camp because he was unable to receive treatment because the Israeli government denied him access to Egypt to receive treatment. Today's hearing is a follow-up to the one held on January the 22nd, where we listened to Maoz Inon and Aziz Abu Sara, representatives of a movement promoting a peaceful future for both Israel and Palestine based on reconciliation and the rule of law. On that occasion, Mr. Aziz Abu Sara emphasized the value of the Olympics as a moment of global unity and brotherhood, a celebration of sporting excellence, and a symbolic truce from conflicts. He even proposed establishing a delegation of peacemakers marching under the flag of peace at the next Olympic Games. The Olympic Charter recognizes sport as a human right. It must be accessible to everyone based on everyone's needs. However, due to Israel's aggression following October the 7th, 2023, Palestinians are denied this right. Thousands and thousands of Palestinian people are denied these rights. 684 Palestinian athletes have been killed. Thousands have been injured who belonged to 34 sports institutions and facilities. Stadiums and sports facilities in Gaza have been damaged or entirely destroyed, which is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Its reconstruction, its rebuilding will take many, many years to come. I know our dear guests will talk to us in detail about this issue. It was time and again denounced or reported that the country whose government has systematically denied and breached the Olympic Charter, which is Israel, takes part in the Olympic Games currently taking place here in Italy, unfortunately. And without any further ado, I will now ask Ambassador Rabo Amara if she wishes to speak. Please, over to you.
Thank you, dear President. I want to thank all of you for the invitation to the team, to our committee, for your invitation, for your time to listen to another story of the flagrant violations of human rights against the Palestinian people, no matter what field they're in. Madam Boldrini, you've just spoke my keynote speech, the talking points of that I wanted to deliver, basically stating all the double standards the Palestinian people, no matter where they're at, if it's in human rights, if it's women's rights, children's rights, sports rights, the right to exist. In every single field of rights, we are being treated differently than the world. But what makes it even more difficult is that we are told that the values and principles, especially when it comes to sports, transcend any politics, transcend any personal wishes or political aspects between teams or between countries or between parties. But again, when it comes to Palestine, this is not the case. Sports is not neutral when lives are not protected. And when we speak today, we are talking about those rights being protected under human rights in general, under Rome Statute, but also in the Constitution, in the Italian Constitution, where it clearly states that sports and civilians who are playing in sports should be protected. But Palestinian athletes are not treated as civilians, while Israeli athletes are treated like civilians even when they are part of an occupation forces that commits atrocities against the Palestinian people. And it pains me, of course, to have to bring to you these stories of athletes that themselves have been undergoing this. So imagine, in addition to everything that they have as an athlete to prepare for, to be on an international stage, they also have to carry the pain with them of being scared for their lives, scared for their families' lives. We have a coach that was coaching a team, trying to put in their minds that they are as human as everybody else when they felt that the world has shown them they are not as worthy and their lives are not worthy, while his own family members were being butchered and facing genocide, live stream genocide for 2.5 years. I want to give the floor to the general and to the stories that you will be hearing, but Again, I really would love to ask you to take these things not as separate from the lives of Palestinians in any other aspect. This is our life under occupation and tyranny, lack of accountability, full impunity. This is who we are, and we hope to bring that to you today.
Molte grazie, signora Ambasciatrice.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. We will undoubtedly respond to your call. I will now leave the floor to President Rajoub for him to make his remarks. Please, over to you.
I am very glad and honored that you are giving me this platform to convey on behalf of my people, on behalf of the Palestinian sport family, or all Palestinians in all Palestinian territories. Sure, you all know that we have political and geographic split. But when it comes to sport, we are one family, one organization. We have one ministry for all Palestinians in West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, and the diaspora. And we have one football association, and one Olympic committee, and one scouting organization. As therefore here, I am speaking on behalf of all Palestinian sport, Olympic, and scouting family. Hopefully that through this meeting, I can convey our clear-cut message to the international community, to the FIFA, to the IOC, to UEFA, to everybody, that it's the time to end the suffering of the Palestinian sport, Palestinian athletes, and Palestinian players. It's the time to stop the double standard policies. Sport as a human right, the right to participate in cultural and sporting life is recognized under the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, Article 15. The Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 31. When sports infrastructure is destroyed and athletes are prevented from movement, these rights are violated. Systematic impact on Palestinian athletes, we present 3 areas of concern: a destruction of civilian sports infrastructure, stadiums and training facilities damaged or destroyed, freedom of movement restrictions, athletes denied exit permits, teams are prevented from traveling between Gaza and the West Bank, psychologically impact, young athletes experiencing trauma, displacement, and loss of team mates. This creates long-term structural exclusion from international sport. International standards and consistency. Italy has historically supported the rule of law, accountability in international institutions, non-discrimination. The question before us is not political alignment, it's legal consistency. Are international sporting standards applied equally to all? Requests to the Italian Parliament. We respectfully request support for the protection of Palestinian civilian sports infrastructure, advocacy within European and Olympic framework for equal movement rights for Palestinian athletes, monitoring mechanisms to ensure non-discriminatory participation in international competitions, support for reconstruction partnerships between Italian and Palestinian sports institutions, clarifying the Palestinian position. Palestinian athletes are not enemies of anyone. They seek competition, not confrontation. They seek fields, not battlefields. We believe in coexistence through equality, not normalization through imbalance. Final appeal. Honorable members, sport should be where young people meet as equals. But equality requires more than symbolic participation. It requires conditions that allow fair competition. We ask Italy, a nation that deeply values sport, to help ensure that the Olympic spirit is not denied to Palestinian youth. Since the last war, we in the West Bank and Gaza suspended all official activities, all leagues, all our official and even friendly competitions no more functioning. In Gaza, everybody knows what's going on, but in the West Bank, from day one, the suffocation, the restrictions on our movements, it prevented us to exercise any kind of sport. And the only functioning arm or branch is our national teams, males and females, but without a training, without any opportunity for us even to either host a friendly or an official game in our territories. I think and I believe that Italy and you all could send a clear-cut message to FIFA, to UEFA, to the IOC, that it's the time now for the Palestinian sport family to enjoy the same right as others are enjoying. The Israelis have no right from one side to play, to develop, and to manage and enjoy the FIFA statutes and the Olympic Charter, while their government is denying the same right to the Palestinian sport family. If you add to that the Israeli Olympic Committee and the Israeli Football Association are violating the statutes of FIFA by organizing and managing official sport on the occupied Palestinian territories, I do believe that the Israelis have the right to manage, to play, to develop, but within their internationally recognized borders, according to the UN resolutions as term of reference to settle this conflict, and outside sport activities of those official recognized borders, it's a clear violation of FIFA statutes. Sanctions should be imposed on those who are violating those principles and those statutes and the Olympic Charter. And I think from one side, to protect our right, to assure that we can enjoy the same, but at the same time, the Israelis should not organize or compete, whether it's official or with friendly, outside their internationally recognized borders on the Palestinian territories. They have at least 9 clubs who are part of the Israeli official league, who are funded by FIFA and UEFA. I do believe that it's the time now at least to send a message of hope to the Palestinian people, that you are not alone, that we are with you, that you have the same right, and also from the other side to exert enough pressure on the Israelis to stop their unilateral aggressions on the Palestinian people. During the last 2 years, all the sport facilities, with no exception, were destroyed in Gaza. At least according to our official statistics till now that we have, but between 10 to 15,000 Palestinians are missing under the rebels. More than 1,000 athletes, employees, officials, including half of them are part of the football associations, including our national captain team, Slimani Al-Abid. Those were killed, thousands injured, thousands are in Israeli concentration camps, hundreds still missing. Once again, I would like to assure you all that we are managing and we are developing according to the message of football and sport, developing ethics and values among the young generation is our message and our commitment. No politics, no political affiliation, and we have nothing to do on the issue of politics in sport. We are committed and we are trying, but we do need your support. We do need your protection. I hope that I hear and I receive back home a message of hope to our people, to the young generations, to those who still believe in peace and peaceful coexistence, and also a message to the Israelis that you cannot keep enjoying and at the same time denying. And the double standard policy is no more a place in this issue and on this particular situation between the Israelis and the Palestinian people. Again, I would like to thank you, and also I would like to thank our ambassador, who is, I think, doing a great job here with your parliament and with your people. It's the time, and I hope that also Italy next month will be qualified for the 19th time for the World Cup. But also the Italian people who won in '82 sent a message to the Palestinians that we are with you. I hope that also in 2026 the Palestinians receive the same message and the same assurances that we are with you. Nothing worse than losing hope. Losing hope means that someone, individuals, maybe groups, will start to think to revenge. Believe me, we are suffering and we don't want to see anyone, even those who are causing suffering to us, to suffer, but recognizing our right for self-determination and our right to live in our own independent sovereign state is the only way to make business in this long and arduous and complicated conflict. Once again, thank you. Thank you.
Molte grazie, Presidente Raju.
Thank you, General Rajoub. We'll now leave the floor to Valerie Tarzi, member of the Palestinian National Olympic Team. Please, over to you.
Good afternoon. I'm not a politician. Sorry? I'm not a politician. I'm simply an athlete. I sit here today as an Olympian and a Palestinian Christian from Gaza. Every child has the right to play. Right now in Gaza, that is simply not a reality. It's really not even a reality in the West Bank. Playing outside has simply become a luxury, not a right. I've done PhD research on sustainability goals of the UN, one of them being health and well-being. Right now in Palestine, health and well-being is a goal, a simple dream. We have limited funding, limited facilities, very limited resources, and quite frankly, it's a miracle that we had our largest delegation in Paris at the Olympics. But that's thanks to the International Olympic Committee for funding it for us. As athletes, we simply just want to have the same rights as other athletes around the world. We don't have facilities. We don't have an Olympic pool. We don't even have a pool that has starting blocks, which is amazing that we had 2 Olympians in Paris that were swimmers. We deal with mental trauma every single day, watching our friends, our families, our teammates, our coaches die in this war. We get denied visas. We get denied abilities to cross borders. We don't have the same rights as other athletes around the world. It's just not a reality for us. At the 2023 Asian Games, we were all together in China. from the West Bank, from Gaza, from the diaspora, all together as one team, walking into the opening ceremony. By the end of the games, October 7th had happened. Half of our athletes stuck in China, some of them stuck in Egypt, some of them sent back to Gaza. 1 week after October 7th, I was sitting in a lecture and I received a phone call from our technical director. Hey Val, remember that beach volleyball player from Gaza you became really good friends with? I'm really sorry to tell you, but he died a few hours ago in a bombing. And I had to go back to class like nothing happened. A few weeks later, get a phone call from the other Palestinian swimmer. Hey Val, did you watch the news? I mean, I've been watching the news, but I don't get the same news you do. The third oldest church in the world had been bombed. That's my family's church. I'm really sorry that I have to tell you, but your 3 family members were in that church and died. I could tell you story after story after story of things that have happened to me. Imagine the other athletes who live this as a reality every single day of their lives. Same thing. I was with a track and field athlete at the Asian Games. Now, if you look at his Instagram, he's pulling his national team jerseys out of the rubble and hasn't practiced sport in over 2 years. Muay Thai athlete, shot in the back 13 times riding his bike. Again, these sound like just numbers now, just stats. These are all people, my friends, my teammates, my family. We don't want to be a number. Again, we just want the same rights that every other athlete in the world seems to have. We want the right to play. That's just my story. And I could give you countless other testaments of friends, family, teammates. But this is what I have for you today. We ask for you to hold the IOC to their own Olympic charter, FIFA to their own statutes. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. We're asking you to simply follow your own rules and do what's right for humanity. I have dedicated my entire PhD research to humanitarian aid and sustainability. This is something that I'm very well versed in. I've done a lot of research on. What is happening in Gaza is not humane, and that's not political in any statement. When people don't have food, that is a simple human right. But we're talking about sports today, and as according to the UN Sustainability Developmental Goals, which I have the whole article pulled up right here, health and well-being is one of them, and one of that is playing sports. So again, we're not asking for anything that isn't already written or committed to. We're simply asking for everyone to uphold their own standards and human rights.
Molto bene, molto bene. Grazie per questa testimonianza molto efficace.
Thank you for your very powerful testimony. Is there any other remark? I don't have any further remarks, but if there's anyone else who would like to take the floor,
Yeah, no, I thought somebody else wanted to intervene, to take the floor. Ok, va bene. Allora, chiedo ai colleghi.
all right, I will now ask my colleagues if they have any questions. I guess our colleague MP Beruto would like to ask a question or put a question. I would like to thank him for convening this very interesting meeting, and I would like to thank him for all the cooperation that he has provided the Palestine Olympic Committee We have got in touch with the sporting reality in Ramallah. We have met General Lajoub, but we very much appreciated his hospitality because we went to Ramallah, we visited Palestine, and we actually took stock of the difficulties and suffering that sports people in Palestine have to endure. We found ourselves in the middle of a military operation, and we got stuck for several hours. So we very much understand what you have been talking about. I will now leave the floor to our colleague Baruto. Please, over to you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation in such a difficult period. Last Friday in our countries, the Winter Olympic Games were inaugurated. Today, we keep hearing about double standard demonstrations like the General just said. So I have a few questions. Actually, I have many questions. Tomorrow there will be a press conference where many more questions will actually be raised. However, I would like to point out that right now I'm speaking as a member of the Olympic family. And it was a privilege for me to take part in the Italian national team at the Athens and London Olympic Games. After that sporting experience, I am now in charge of sporting politics. So my first question is to General Lajoub. Do you think, or do you have any evidence in addition to the report that you will hand it to us? Anything that we'll be reading about in that report, the destruction of sports facilities, killing and of athletes, do you think that they are just side effects, and sorry for this horrible word, or do you think that there is a systematic project in targeting sport in Palestine, especially because in your view, do you think that destroying sport may aim at destroying a country's relations with other countries? Everybody, in all societies, sport is a sort of element that keeps society together. So in your view, do you think that the Israeli government, the Israeli Olympic Committee, are doing so systematically, intentionally? We've got the seven main articles of the Olympic Charter talk about respecting human rights. The so-called, the famous Olympic Truce Resolution speaks about building a better world through the Olympic Games. Article 6 of the Olympic Charter underlines the right to sport without any kind of discrimination. This was my first question. My second question is quite technical and is addressed to General Lajoub. This year, in 2026, our country will be hosting the Mediterranean Games in August and September. Over time, these games have involved all the Mediterranean countries except Palestine and Israel. Do you envisage setting up a delegation that may take part in the Mediterranean Games? For instance, volleyball, which is what I did when I went to Ramallah. Because if you're ready to set up such a team, I can do all I can so that Palestine can be involved in such a tournament. I mean, the Mediterranean Games, especially given the turbulent geopolitical times the Mediterranean is going through at the moment. If you are ready to do so, I will do my utmost to help you participate. My third question is addressed to Dima, Valerie, my colleague Ihab. Can you give us further details about the daily life of when it comes to training Palestine's football team, what it means being an athlete in the Palestinian territories? Because I was the first person to sign a document that was signed by other 44 MPs and senators from Italy and Europe, and all the people who are present here signed that document, and that document was addressed to the head of the Italian Olympic Committee, the head of the Italian Football Association, who's also vice president of UEFA, and the Italian members of the IOC. And we called on them to ask for a sort of investigation into, or actually to make sure, to ascertain whether what the Olympic Charter provides for is respected in the Palestinian territories. Because, of course, as you know, the IOC has the right to ban Israel from participating. But as you know, this has not happened. When my colleagues and I went to Ramallah, I lived through the apartheid manual in my capacity. Many athletes actually couldn't train with me when I did that training in Ramallah. Many of them actually couldn't join me because their village had been shut down. And many athletes, many sports people talked to us about their detention in Israeli jails. We listened carefully to General Rajoub's testimony. We're still waiting for that call to the IOC to have any kind of effect. So my question is, do you think there is more we can do for you in addition to expressing our solidarity to the Palestinian reality? Thank you, MP Beruta. I will now leave the floor to our colleague MP Ferrari. Thank you much for being with us. Thank you very much for your testimony. I also was part of the delegation who went to Ramallah last November. Our visit back then had to do with sport, of course, but it was extremely important for us to understand what the real daily life of the Palestinian situation was like in the West Bank. Since last November, many things have happened. Netanyahu's visit to Mr. Trump, and further exacerbation of this annexation plan of the West Bank. And this is something that was this is something that had been in the make, but quite tacitly, silently, whereas now this is an open goal. And there have been several steps that have been taken in the Knesset in this regard. We have listened to many very young athletes that were very disturbing. They showed a total lack of rights for the civilian population. They talked to us about their detention, their torture. Some of them were 15 or 16 years old. We're talking about minors that were detained without being charged of basically anything. And actually, they had to confess to something they hadn't committed just to save their families. Against this backdrop, Since last November, the situation appears to have worsened. So, in your view, has it worsened? Has the situation worsened since last November? In the light of this political landscape that, of course, affects the civilian population and all Palestinian sports people, how are you living amid this worsening situation? Thank you. I don't know if there are any more questions. If there aren't, I would like to add more. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I have something more to say. I forgot to say something about the situation of Al football pitch in Beit Lahem. It seems from our point of view that this issue has been settled. I don't think it is, though. So my question is, do you have further information about what is going on in Al or what might happen in the future? Thank you. This is one of the questions that I wanted to ask indeed. I think that what you said, I mean, double standards, which is unbearable, this oppression, this occupation that has been going on for decades, its effect on athletes that cannot move freely, that cannot train freely, that cannot go in and out just to take part in competitions. Of course, this does not respect a fundamental right, a right to parity, a right to equality. In Palestine, everything is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more harder for Palestinian athletes. So these athletes are commendable because in spite of all these hurdles and obstacles and problems, they still want to participate in competition. So I think we must respond to General Rajoub's appeal. In other words, we should write yet another letter as a follow-up to this hearing, a letter to the IOC, to FIFA, to UEFA, and we should say that based on what we heard from the president of the Palestine Olympic Committee and one of the members of the Palestinian national team, well, sporting conditions in Palestine are impossible, are unbearable. The question is, what do these international organizations want to do to remove these obstacles? So they should take a responsibility that they haven't taken so far. I think this could be the outcome of this hearing. In other words, raising this issue to international organizations that appear to have turned their back on sports principles, the principles of peace and respect for athletes' human rights. This is a commitment we can undertake. And now I will leave the floor to you, General Rajoub, and to Valerie Tarzi for you to reply to our questions. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank your commitment. And I will try to answer some of the questions. For the issue of the Mediterranean Games, if I am invited, with the pleasure, I will come. With a team, I hope that also we can have athletes from Gaza with us to attend. For the first part of your question, I think it's a systematic, it's a strategy. What the Israelis are doing, even how they started in Gaza, it's clear that targeting facilities, yani for example, Al Yarmouk Stadium, it's a famous, it was, I think, built in 38 last century before the 10 years before the creation of the State of Israel. Bombing and destroying such facility, I don't think that it came by mistake. Second, arresting people and using some facilities as concentration camps, humiliation, and even handcuffed and naked people in a collective way. This is not just something that individually or something like that. If you want to go to the Israeli relevant, the president of the Israeli Olympic Committee, she's an ex-Olympian. She signed a missile, and she said this, and she said under before her signature that this is to the people of Gaza. How? Yani, I can't understand. She is an Olympian, a famous Olympian, and she is the president of Olympic Committee, and even also some Israeli athletes and Olympians encouraged, and some participated. Where are their ethics and values as Olympians or as people who do believe that sport could be or could play a different role in such a conflict? It's a matter of systematic, it's a matter of policy. The Israeli government's goal is to negate Palestine from the political map. It's not secret that the item one for Bibi and his government is to get rid of the people of Gaza. Immigration, pushing, killing, injuring, starvation, and so on. What does this mean if it's not a systematic policy of the Israeli government? In the West Bank, I think you have been there, and also she was there, and you yourself watch and follow what was going on, the suffocation. Now in the West Bank, no more any isolated community outside the big cities. All of them were pushed by the settlers, by the Israeli forces, to the big cities in order to get rid of as a first step. And the recent Israeli resolution passed through the Knesset, it's a clear message that the annexation, it's a matter of time. The creeping annexation on the ground, dictating facts, building settlements, giving legality to what they called illegal outposts in the past. You know, it's now clear what they are doing and what they are dictating, that the whole Palestinian, historic Palestinian, is an Israeli territories, and they have the right to do whatever they want to do. Restricting the movement of our athletes, our players, and I have many examples. The last example, 2 days or 3 days ago, we received donation from China, 100 square meters for artificial turf. And we received a message or letter from the Minister of Defense that this will never, a permit will never be issued. What does this mean? Is this nuclear weapon? What's this? And this is not systematic, and not from, you know, a junior officer or employee, and from the Minister of Defense, that this is not, the issue will never, the permit will not be issued. I do believe that for them sport is a target. They want to destroy the infrastructure. They want us also to lose hope and to stop, because during the last years we have no official, neither league nor any other activities, and they never even facilitated or so. Now what we expect from you, okay, sending a message here and there, it's good, but also there's a question to the president of UEFA here in Europe. The Israelis have no right to keep enjoying, at the same time denying the other side. I think keep sending delegations, media, journalists to come and watch to see. You know, even preventing any journalist to enter Gaza, what does this mean? What does this mean? They know that their crimes in Gaza should not be. In spite of that, believe me, what's going on there in Gaza has no precedent in the history of mankind. In 21st century, you are talking about 12 or 13% of the people either killed or injured or missing under the rubble. Just 3 or 4 days, last 3 or 4 days, they from under the rubbles rescued or bring out about 800 corpses of people missing since. And we still have between 10 to 15,000 missing. What does this mean? What is this? Isn't this a part of a strategy of ideological or something? And even some Israeli ministers, some Israeli, most of the Israeli members of Knesset, the parliament, they are talking on this way, which means they are supporting and they are pushing to delete Palestine as a people, as a territory, as even holy places for Christians and Muslims. As therefore, it's the time for UEFA, for FIFA, for IOC to raise a red card for the Israeli Federation and the Israeli Olympic Committee. They should be sanctioned. In Russia, 24 hours, but in the issue of Israel, because Trump or someone else does not want, does not like, does not give the green light, I hope that Mr. Infantino will recharge his metal, what they call battery, and reconsider and recognize that what the Israelis are doing is a clear-cut violation. And since last October, he is delaying and delaying and delaying the relevant committees to take the right decision toward the issue of Israeli violations. How the Israelis organize part of their official league in the internationally recognized Palestinian state territories. How? And they receive funds from UEFA. They receive funds from FIFA. How? I think the ball is in the court of FIFA and UEFA and IOC. From our side, any invitation, anywhere, I believe that we have to expose our justice cause through the ethics and the values of sport. I believe that my responsibility and my generation is national responsibility is to develop among the grassroots and the young generation the ethics and the values of sport. I don't want to see anyone suffering, but please, please end the suffering of my people. And thank you.
Molte grazie. E adesso passerei la parola.
Thank you very much. I will now leave the floor to Valerie Tarzi. Please, over to you.
Thing that I just wanted to point out. Before the Paris Olympics, many Israeli athletes were brought to IDF military bases to sign missiles. The flag bearer for Israel in Paris signed a missile and said, "From me to you with love," with the Star of David, and proceeded to post it on Instagram. That goes against all Olympic statutes, charters, whatever you want to say. That being said, past that now. But it's true. Sports facilities are used for humiliation, military activities, which also goes against international sports laws. If you'd like, I pulled up a beautiful picture of some IDF soldiers right here with some half-naked men tied up. So that's in Gaza. You wanted to know about daily life in training. I'm going to let Dima talk a little bit more about that because she probably knows a little bit better than I do because I train in the States. But yeah, but I do want to point out that I was at swimming nationals in December, so very recently. It was in Bethlehem. With the U.S. passport, even with the U.S. passport, getting from Bethlehem to Jerusalem to Ramallah takes at least an hour and a half based on checkpoints, at least. You should be able to get there maybe 20 minutes. If you don't have the right travel documents, if you're just trying to go Bethlehem to Ramallah, 4 hours minimum, when it should take 20 minutes. These are simple things that our athletes have to go through daily to get to facilities, to get to training sites. And then that's not even counting crossing borders. I mean, if you want to fly out of Jordan to get to an airport, add an extra full day to your travel. That's more money. But what I want to leave you with here is we really thank you for your action. We need action. I think that's a lot. We need pressure on the IOC and FIFA. But it's not just about funding and facilities. We can't just keep throwing money at problems and hoping to build infrastructure one day. There has to be action to make this stop. And I think that's what I leave you with here today, is it can't just be, well, we'll just give you more funding. As much as we need it and we appreciate it, that's not the problem solver here.
Grazie. Passo la parola a...
Thank you. I will now leave the floor. I don't know whether I have the names of all delegation members. I think it is Dr. Dima Saeed. Please, over to you.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'll be quick. You asked about the reality of Palestinian athletes. As a Palestinian ex-athlete who lives in the West Bank and who has seen multiple sufferings of Palestinian athletes, I hate to talk about numbers again, but we have a well-documented report. We have documented many crimes against humanity, crimes against athletes in the West Bank, in Gaza, and in Jerusalem. Our athletes witness all kinds of discrimination within Israeli leagues as well. For us to participate is a huge deal as Palestinians. Let's talk about daily humiliation at checkpoints, like we said. The ability to actually sustain a league and keep it going for us as Palestinians is really hard. To facilitate leagues and to guarantee the safety of the players, which is the utmost importance for us, is a really big challenge for us. I know this sounds very negative, and we've talked a lot about all the negative aspects of athletes and Palestinian athletes in Palestine, but at the same time, let's not neglect the fact that we've made history through those past few years who have been the worst for Palestinian sports since the beginning, since day one. But at the same time, we've made remarkable progress in different aspects of sports. The biggest delegation in Palestinian sports in the Olympic Committee. Our national teams have made it into different levels. They've made amazing progress. Is that logical? Not really. When we're talking about sports and the details that make you excel and the amount of work that people put in to make sure that everybody performs well. For Palestinians, it's a completely different scenario. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is even close to that. We live daily realities that are completely the opposite of that. But at the same time, it's not logical. That kind of gives you an idea of the Palestinian people. This is how we think. Of course, it's not logical. We fight and we resist. And for us, sports is our identity. It's our way of showing who we are as a nation. And this is our message. What we want is fairness. We want access and equal access to sport facilities, to competitions, and being able to compete in the name of Palestine, which is something that is very much fought against from different in different aspects. So yes, of course, we carry a message of hope for our people. It's not looking as good as it should be, but we always have hope. Our athletes, our children, when we've seen that We've seen people from Gaza watching matches for national teams in their tents, celebrating goals, and with those horrible situations, with no internet, with no food, with no water, and being able to connect through sports, that is something very powerful, and that is why we're here today. Sports unites us, and it's always been like that, and it sends a clear message that Palestine is there to stay, and what we want, again, is fairness, and no one should be treated unfairly, and that's it. Thank you.
Grazie. Grazie mille.
Thank you very much indeed. I think we can wrap up this meeting. We are going to write a letter to international organizations, or send a letter to international organizations as a follow-up to today's meeting. In this letter, we'll be asking international sport associations and organizations to take on a responsibility they haven't taken so far, in the light of the conditions that Palestinian athletes have to endure, lack of sports facilities, and what Israel has been doing, and in the light of the strategy that the Israeli government has been implementing in order to destroy all sports facilities and prevent Palestine from sending or from having a national team and participating in all competitions. I was struck when you said that what a Palestinian athlete has to endure is or can't be found anywhere else, because they don't have the chance to train, to eat, to sleep properly. Then how are they supposed to do their best to train properly? So your love for sport is actually full of obstacles, and that deserves lots of solidarity. We will try to do our best. Thank you.